Hello and welcome. This is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks for stopping by today. Today we are going to be making this fun fold flap card. Now this is a design that you can use. See how that opens up, and that fun? This is a design that you can use with any of your designer series papers, any of your images and sentiments. So this is a great one to have in your toolbox. Let's go ahead, and I do want to remind you before we get started to tap that bell below and hit the subscribe button. That's going to make sure that you get notifications of any future videos and tutorials as I put them out, so you don't miss out on anything. And I do want to make sure you know I am a Stampin' Up! Representative, and I sell the products that we are using today in this video, and I sure would appreciate the opportunity to earn your business if you're in need of Stampin' Up! Products. I want to also mention our specials we've got going on right now. This month we have specials on the designer series paper. You buy 3, you get 1 free, and there's details for that on my shopping site, which I'll link below. We also have a great deal if you've ever thought about being a Stampin' Up! Representative, where you can get 10, can you see all of 10 free ink pads when you sign up as a new demonstrator. That's on top of all of the other great stuff that you get as a new demo. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I'd be happy to share information with you. You don't have to be willing to do tutorials. You don't have to even do parties. If you just want to sign up for a discount, that's okay too. You get a discount as long as you are an active demonstrator. And then lastly, we have our Paper Pumpkin subscription that is 50% off through August 11th for your first month for new subscribers. Again, I'll have all that information in the details below, so check that out when you have a moment. Let's go ahead and get started. Now I have a lot of pieces of paper for this because there's a lot of layering, so I've already done all of the cutting for us, and I'm going to put that information in the description so that you don't have to remember all of these dimensions. So the paper that I'm using, I'll run through real quick, is Lemon Lime Twist, Crushed Curry, Smoky Slate, and the design Whisper White, and the designer series paper from the Animal Outing set, or Animal Expedition is the paper. Animal Outing is the stamp set, which we are going to be using, and this has just some really cute images on here that coordinate with the paper. There are also dies that coordinate with this set. We're going to be using this kangaroo and little koala, isn't that sweet, in there, and the welcome little one. So this is going to be a great card for anybody that you know that's having a baby. But again, you can switch up the sentiments if you don't have a need for that kind of card in your life at this time. Let's go ahead and get started assembling these, and I'm not even going to mention all of the sizes of the papers because again, that is going to be in the details link below, so you don't have to try and scribble those down as we go. But let's go through one of the things on the assembly. We've got this little part that makes the flap, and just to make sure you know that you do need to fold that over, and you're going to slide that on this piece before you mat it on to the back paper. So make sure you do that first so you don't miss and adhere this down. And you know, you could go ahead and put it over here, but it's going to look a lot neater if we put that on the background. So let's get started. So give me a thumbs up if you like this Animal Expedition and Animal Outing stamp set. I just think it's adorable. So we're going to adhere this down. So like I said, lots and lots of layers. And so this card does just open up like this. So your back piece, instead of folding over like normal, is just a panel. So that's a little bit different in case you're wondering where we're going with this. We're going to adhere this whole piece down. I'm using my Tombow Mono Multi, which is my adhesive of choice. And we are just going to line that up. It gives me the ability to have a little bit of wiggle room so I can shift that around as I go. I'm now going to go ahead and map the inside with the Smoky Slate. And then I have my designer series paper and my white. So I'm just kind of flip-flopping what we did on this card. I'm going to use the green for this little inside panel, and we're going to use the animals for the front panel. And put a little glue on there. So who likes fun folds? Give me a thumbs up if fun folds are one of your favorites. I think they just add that little bit of surprise factor when you are giving cards out. And then you just want to, before you adhere these down, make sure these pieces are fairly close to square, some of them. So be careful before you stick them down. Make sure you know which direction you're going, or you might end up getting a little bit frustrated. And remember, it's just paper. If you mess up, you can always be fixed or start over. It's not the end of the world. So let's see. This one, we're gonna do right there a little tiny matting. And when you are cutting your papers, make sure that you are paying attention to your direction, because these are just slightly off. This panel is actually 3 7/8 by 4, so it's super duper close to being a precise square. So to the eye, it can be very difficult to distinguish, but do make sure you're paying attention if you've got a directional pattern on your paper when you're doing your cutting, because it might look a little silly if I had all my animals turned sideways. And now to adhere this flap on, I'm just going to position this where I want it. I'm going to come over here and just put a little bit of glue on that edge and stick it down. So I'm not trying to be too exact with where it's going to end up. I just found that's the easiest way to line it up. And then I'm going to take my gray, or my smoky slate, and add that on there. And all we have left now is to do our stamping. So we've got our paper down there. Our stamp set again is the Animal Outing. And the inks that I'm going to bring in are Soft Suede and Lemon Lime Twist. And then I'm going to use some of our Stampin' Blends and Stampin' Write markers. So I just got my Stampin' Blends in. I am sure there are those of you who are much better at coloring than I am, so please forgive my lack of experience on that, but I wanted to get these out and play with them. So hope that you'll have fun playing along with me on those. And we're going to come in with a crumb cake. Let me close this up so I don't get that on anything that I don't want to get it onto by mistake. And I'm mostly going to use the light, and I'm going to use the brush tip. These come with 2 tips, a brush tip and a nib tip, and you can easily tell there's a thicker line for the brush tip and a thinner line for the nib. Now these are alcohol markers, so make sure that you do keep them closed well when not in use, so that you don't have them drying out on you. And you know what? You also want to make sure you get your lids on the right ones. So, you know, I'm going to try and fix this here. Keeping it real for you guys. Don't mess up your things. I'm also going to bring in, forgot this micro tip pen. I just want our eyes to be open. So I'm going to close that top in. There, put a pupil in and some little eyelashes, so you can take and, if you don't want those eyes closed, that's just one way you can modify all of these stamps, because they do all have their eyes closed, which does make for a very sweet image, but I prefer to have the eyes open. So we have lots of different mediums for coloring with Stampin' Up. We've got our Stampin' Blends, our Stampin' Write markers. Of course, you can always take an ink pad and a blender pen, which is another great way of really stretching your ink pad colors out is to use that blender pen and to get more out of them that way. You can really have, in essence, a pen for every color when you do that. So I'm just going to try and darken those ears up and blend some of that color down into here. Now you can definitely find other people out there if you're wanting to follow coloring that have a lot more experience than I do, as well as tutorials. So I'm a very simple colorer at this stage, but I just love how smooth these alcohol markers go on. And just add little bits of shading in different places and then come back in with the lighter color and blend that out. And there we go. That's got my, sorry for that little noise there. I've got a notification apparently that I don't have turned off. I'm going to come in and I'm going to use my light. Let's make sure I've got the light one this time. And yep, my light smoky slate. And color in this koala. He's pretty tiny, so I'm not going to take too much to get him colored in. And I do feel like I lose a little bit of definition from him. So I'm going to come back in and just put those little dots in for the eyes. And then to ground this image, I'm coming in with some Granny Apple Green from the Stampin' Write markers. And I'm just going to give a little bit of a grassy area there to ground my koala. And then the last thing we need to do is stamp our sentiment and glue this down. So we are going to put our welcome in Lemon Lime Twist, which is one of the colors in the Designer Series paper. If you're not aware, Stampin' Up! Will give you all of the coordinating paper colors when you buy Designer Series paper so that you know which colors are going to match very easily. Now you are going to see some bleeding through with the alcohol markers, and that is okay. That's normal when you're coloring with those. Let's line this up here. And there we go. We have our welcome little one, Animal Outing, Animal Expedition Fun Fold Flap card. Again, if you like what you see, please subscribe and by hitting the button below and tap that bell so that you get notifications whenever I post feeds, and check out the details in the description below with all of the measurements and how you can shop on my channel. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day and keep creating.